Take advantage of all Knox County has to offer. Shop local whenever possible and invite others to do the same. Together, we will build a strong, successful Knox County. C.A. Vincent's Rotary Foundation member to get your 52 for 52 raffle tickets. Just $52 for a chance to win $250 every week in 2022. This money helps with local projects and scholarships, so get yours today. C.A. Vincent's Rotary Foundation member, annual raffle license on file.
Here's some marketing information from TOC Media and the original company radio stations. Why should you advertise? Your store's been here forever. Everybody knows about you. You're doing just fine without advertising. Don't kid yourself. There are lots of reasons to advertise. Number one, you must advertise to reach new customer. The market changes constantly. New families move in the area, mean new potential customers for you or your competition. Customers' income levels are constantly changing, which means lifestyles in change, needs and buying habits change also. You must advertise continuously. Shoppers don't have the same store loyalty they once had. Automobiles give shoppers mobility and freedom. The National Retail Merchants Association says mobility and non-loyalty are rampant. Stores must promote to get former customers to return and to attract new ones. You must advertise to influence shoppers throughout the buying cycle. People often go from store to store comparing prices, quality, and service. Advertising must reach them consistently through the entire decision-making process. For example, the average car purchase, a 13-week cycle. Your name must remain fresh in the ears and minds when people ultimately decide to buy. And you must advertise because it pays off over a long period of time. Your advertising today is selling customers whose buying decisions may be weeks or months away. Advertising gives you a long-term advantage over competitors who cut back or cancel their advertising. TOC Direct Media, radio, audio, print, video, digital, web, events, and creativity. Go online now to originalcompany.com. Click on Contact Us.
The 97.7 WAOV forecast out from the Brian Stevens Erie Insurance Weather Center. Rain and windy conditions, though, ending by late afternoon. A high near 59, mostly clear tonight to low near 38. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, high of 51 degrees. And in a partly sunny sky on Saturday, high 45, and then 49 on Sunday. It's where dollars and cents meet common sense. The Ramsey Show tonight at 7 on WAOV.
From the 97.7 WAOV studios at 6th and Bustrin Streets in downtown Vincennes, it's time now for Legal News and Views. Now, here's Dave Rolligan and Jeff Cobb with Legal News and Views.
Welcome, Legal News and Views. I'm Jeff. I'm Dave. And any special plans, Lieutenant Colonel Rolligan, for Veterans Day? Just retired. Following up on Facebook, they organized a little impromptu meeting at Old Chicago today with 15 or 20 retired folks and full-time folks. It was very nice. Well, that's good. Did you have the highest rank? I'm sure I was the oldest and highest ranked person there. So I give you free food or anything? No, I don't eat lunch, you know. I do my lunch at the office, I carry it, and then I just went out. It's usually a smelly lunch, but if you can tell by now, we're live here at the Board House, corner 6 and Bustrin, downtown Vincennes. You can come visit us, but we would rather have you call in, hopefully with a legal question. And the phone number is area code 812-882-3737. Operators are standing by, waiting for your call and your question. But otherwise, Dave and I go on our merry way. Speaking of merry, what a segue. Knox County CASA has teamed up with Hubler Buick GMC Cadillac. And we're going to call it Make It Merry. The CASA has a tree out there, and you go out and you can select the child's wish list.
and make some purchases so the children that are in the CASA program and the Change program will have a happy Christmas. You can stop by there and pick a child off the tree, which they're anonymous. You just get the little tag and then purchase the gifts, or give them a call and they can help you out. So Knox County CASA teaming up. They've done this angel tree or gift tree for many years, so it's a good program.
Good. I try to update our listeners on stories we've done in the past, and this one will be very familiar if you've listened before. It's the Jeffrey Epstein Ghislaine Maxwell. Her trial is to begin in late November with jury selection. So a lot of motions filed on her behalf by her lawyers, one of which was to identify publicly all of the witnesses that the prosecution was going to call. The judge, citing recent cases, we have the Nixon case against Keith Rainier and the R&B singer R. Kelly, in which both judges allowed the witnesses to testify anonymously. Now, here's the key. The Constitution of the United States and almost every state requires that anyone accused of a crime be allowed to cross-examine their witnesses. So the issue is not whether or not her lawyers know who the witnesses are. They do. The question is whether they would be identified publicly, and the court judge in this case has said, nope, they can testify anonymously. Court overruled a whole series of other motions on behalf of Ghislaine, who has been in jail now, I think, for a couple of years, on a $25.5 million bond. What does that mean? Well, she'd have to post in cash $25.5 million in order to be set free pending trial. So, 28.5, my apologies. So, the trial, it looks like it's going to be more news in the future for Legal News and Views.
She just had her bond request denied again.
Yes.
She can't catch a break.
Nope.
Speaking of not catching a break and doing illegal things, this judge was suspended for a full year from the bench and also from practicing law because it was criminal court and the judge was interacting with the defendant who had some drug charges pending. This is out of Ohio. And the defendant's friend or girlfriend was in the courtroom, and the judge singled her out and said, "Are you on drugs?" And this lady was not in court, was not a defendant, had never been accused of drugs, no criminal record at all. And so the judge said, "I think you're under the influence," and ordered her to go take a drug test, and asked the bailiff to take her over to probation to get a drug test. And she said, "I want a lawyer, and I'm not taking a drug test." And the judge says, "You don't get a lawyer. You're not under arrest." So anyway, she refused. He put her in jail and said, "You'll stay in jail for 10 days or until you take the drug test." Of course, she had by that time lawyered up. I think she spent a day in jail. Her lawyer immediately filed an appeal. And pretty much everyone connected with the case except the judge figured out that the judge had no power to just order someone to take a drug screen because of his unsubstantiated suspicions that she might be under the influence.
The original reason for being in court was
she was watching her boyfriend get sentenced for a drug case. So she was just a spectator.
all right.
So he'll have a year to think about what he did.
Of course, there is the tragic story of Alec Baldwin accidentally shooting the
What was it?
cinematographer in a show called American Rust. The lawsuits have finally hit the fan, but from an probably an unlikely source, in that Sergei Svetnov, key gaffer on the film, He wasn't hit by any bullets. He was just there when the cinematographer got shot and killed. I think the director got the remnant of the bullet. But he has filed a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit against anybody he can, including Alec Baldwin, saying that he is now suffering severe emotional distress. Now, this differs from state to state as to when you can get emotional distress.
We used to have a contact rule in Indiana.
Indiana no longer. If you were visually seeing something that would create that emotional distress, but usually has to involve an emotional tie, like a family member or close relationship. But I'm sure it's just the first of many lawsuits, as everybody in that cast keeps pointing the finger at everybody else. We should take our first break.
Break time. There'll be more legal news and views, 97.7 WAOV, newsknoxcounty.com. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
There are great reasons why you should advertise on TOC Direct Media's radio stations, the original company radio stations. You know, you must advertise to generate more store traffic. Continuous store traffic is the first step toward sales increases and expanding your base of shoppers. For every 100 items shoppers plan to buy, they make at least 30 unanticipated in-store purchases. You must advertise to make more sales. Advertising work. Businesses that succeed are almost always strong, steady advertisers. Look around. You'll find the most aggressive and consistent advertisers are almost always the most successful. You must advertise because there is always business to generate. As long as you're open for business, you've got overhead to meet and new people to reach. Advertising can generate customers now and in the future. Your doors are open. Even the slowest days produce some sales. You must advertise to keep a healthy, positive image. In today's competitive marketplace, rumors and bad news travel fast. Social media is full of bad news that you have no control over. Advertising corrects misleading gossip and punctures overstated bad news on social media. You must advertise to maintain store morale. When advertising and promotion budgets are suddenly cut or canceled, salespeople may become alarmed or demoralized. Positive advertising boosts employee morale. And you must advertise because your competition is advertising. There are only so many consumers in the market ready to buy at one time. You must advertise to keep your share of consumers, or you will lose them to some business who's more aggressive. Go to originalcompany.com, click on Contact Us.
And we're back. Legal News and Views. I'm Jeff.
Dave here.
You can join us, 812-882-3737, hopefully with a question of a legal nature, but heck, we'll talk to anyone. Following up on another story we've done in the past, a long time ago. Remember Flint, Michigan, lead in the water? Lawsuits have now been settled. The judge has approved a settlement, which would give the residents of Flint, now it's not quite sure how that's going to be divvied up among them, $626 million total. $600 come from Michigan, $20 million will come from the city of Flint, and $5 million plus from something called Road Professional, McLaren Health and Road Professional Services, $1.25 million. The judge has set up a plan with administrators to try and figure out who is injured the most and gets the most damages, but believes that the amount of money is finally sufficient to cover the damage. If you're not familiar, Flint, Michigan, back in the time of a Republican governor, Snyder, had lead in the water from old pipes.
Now, for years, I mean, it wasn't a Republican problem.
No. That looks like maybe it'll be the last time we talk about Flint, Michigan.
This doctor liked to go mountaineering, climbing tall peaks. And unfortunately for him, he called in a false report of hypothermia, which means he was freezing to death. after attempting to get to the summit of Denali, the tallest peak in North America.
Formerly Mount McKinley.
Mount McKinley, now Denali.
Well, it was Denali before it was Mount McKinley.
And then it's back to Denali. Let's don't even get started about Cape Canaveral. JFK, and then it was back to Canaveral. So anyway, the guy didn't make it to the top. He called in a fake emergency call so he could be rescued by a helicopter instead of going down the mountain by himself. 3 charges now facing Dr. Jason Lance. That's a great name for a doctor, Lance.
Especially if it's pimple popping.
He's a Utah radiologist stemming from a May 24th incident that occurred more than 17,000 feet up. Denali, formerly known as Mount McKinley, as Jeff pointed out. He left his climbing partner, who is identified a complaint only by initials, set out from Denali Camp 3 at 14,200 feet to try to reach the top. However, was off limits to climber during much of COVID-19, so he's facing felony charges, and he's going to be required to reimburse for the helicopter flight.
Oh, yeah.
And the rescue, which can be pretty pricey.
I think that's true even if he had been hurt. I think you nowadays have to pay for the emergency medical to get you off these mountains or trails.
But that doesn't seem kosher.
Especially if you are a doctor. Final follow-up for today. Kyle Rittenhouse, a young man charged with killing 2 people and wounding another in the Kenosha, Wisconsin riots. He's been on trial. I think this is the 8th day. From a lawyer's standpoint, very fascinating. The prosecution seems to be having such a rough time that when they cross-examined Kyle Rittenhouse, the defense lawyers alleged that they intentionally tried to create a mistrial.
Because they're losing.
Because they're losing. So the defense is now moved. I don't know if it's at the close of evidence yet, but that everything be dismissed, and that it be dismissed in a sense with prejudice, and that Kyle Rittenhouse could not be retried. I found interesting the one person he shot who survived said, well, he didn't shoot me until I pointed my gun at him.
No, the guy was very credible, and he did not help the prosecution at all in a self-defense.
And then the witnesses of the 2 people who shot and killed said that one actually charged Rittenhouse.
They have, oddly enough, in this day and age, drone footage of this guy racing up to this kid
who's holding a rifle.
Some of my Army training I remember is don't charge the enemy who has you outgunned with an AR-15.
Now, sadly, and should not occur, you have people who are trying to influence the outcome of this jury. A person, I forget what group they were with, said, well, we're videotaping each of the jurors. We know where they live. In a sense, a threat that if you don't do the right thing...
jury tampering is what that's called.
That is actually a crime. Then you have, I think, someone like LeBron James saying, oh, Rittenhouse wasn't really crying, I didn't see a tear, blah, blah, blah. People got to let it go and let the process work and not try to screw with the process. But that's it for my opinion right now.
This is kind of up your alley. Investigators are asking Uber for records as they investigate the theft of more than $700,000 from an 82-year-old woman, who apparently fell for what they call a grandparent scam. Over the summer, the scammers convinced this woman that her granddaughter was in legal trouble and needed her help. They told her to make withdrawals from her bank and hand the money over to a courier, according to court records. The investigators have asked Uber about rideshare pickups at the woman's home between April and August, so apparently they may have Ubered over to rip this lady off. They want the name of the Uber account holder and credit card info, along with the history of pickups and drop-offs at various locations around Tampa. They will assist in trying to find out who did this to the woman and hopefully recover some money. And normally we would not based on the information of a stranger withdraw any money, but these people may have known the woman, because I could ask a lot of people and they would not have $700,000 for me to steal. And I think sometimes they impersonate the child or the grandchild. And some of these people may be a little further along and are confused or don't really recognize the person, and they fall for that. So, as they used to say on Hill Street Blues, let's be careful out there, people.
Eddie Tipton, back in 2017, worked at a place in Urbandale, Iowa, that provided random number
Urbandale. That's like an oxymoron.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You got urban and you got dale.
Provided random number drawing computers to several lottery states. Eddie installed a code on the computers that allowed him to predict the winning numbers 3 days a year. He would then work with other people to buy those numbers and collect the money and split it with them. In 2017, he pled guilty, ordered to repay $2 million in ill-gotten winnings from Colorado, Wisconsin, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and also was convicted by a jury of attempting to take $16.5 million from a rigged Iowa lottery game. Tipton has been in prison since then and serving a 25-year sentence. So now, fast forward to today, 2021, and Tipton says, I was screwed. I was under duress. I didn't do it. Procedurally, the Supreme Court said it took too long to prosecute me, and all other kinds of charges. So Eddie is saying to himself, I made a bad deal. He claims he only got $351,000 from stealing. That's still a lot.
I know, but this just occurred to him after going to prison?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that wasn't me.
Yeah. Who's anybody else?
This is going to probably be a big, expensive, sad lawsuit. 2 California couples gave birth to each other's babies after a mix-up at the fertility clinic.
Oh, at the clinic.
At the clinic.
Not at the home.
No, they
Oh, you're not my wife.
They implanted the wrong fertilized egg in these 2 women.
Oh.
It took them through gestation and birth, and then they spent months raising these kids, which were not theirs, before swapping the infant skins. You just got this little infant, you're bonding, and then you say, wait, you're not mine, give me the new kid. And it started when one couple asked for DNA tests because they said, this baby doesn't look like us.
My older sister always claimed that she was really a Kennedy that somehow had been switched at birth.
Hopefully she avoided the curse.
Well, maybe DNA would... Maybe we ought to get her tested.
They suppressed their doubts because they fell in love with the baby, as you as you would, because that's why baby animals and baby humans are cute. So you keep them. So there are going to be lawsuits about that. I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to have some quality control of give me beaker A and beaker B and just mix them up. There could be years of therapy for the infants too, although they won't remember.
Yeah. We'll take our half-hour break here in Legal News and Views, 97.7 FM, WNLV, newsknoxcounty.com. 812-882-3737 is your ticket to enlightenment. Call us now, and you will be the first priority.
I know that clock's fast, FYI.
Am I way off? 3 minutes off.
From the Metrodata Vincennes 100% fiber 97.7 WAOV News Center, I'm Tom Lee reporting. The Knox County Health Department is asking for prior appointments for COVID, flu, and childhood immunizations. Health Department Chief Nurse Benny Langford says the need is due to a good number of COVID vaccinations already given. The health clinic is located at 305 South 5th in Vincennes. Appointments may be set up by calling the link at 812-882-8080. Offices for the city of Vincennes are closed today for Veterans Day. The city offices join other city, state, and federal offices in closing for that remembrance. Washington city offices and departments also closed today to observe Veterans Day. And in Washington, no trash pickup today, and the city bus here is not running. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources has added various displays to the Goose Pond Visitor Center in Greene County. The center, located on the grounds of the Fish and Wildlife Area just east of Linton on State Road 59. Those displays during regular business hours open to the public. And the Vincennes Rotary and Kiwanis clubs are joining together this year for the annual Wreaths Across America. The two groups goal to place a wreath on the graves of every veteran in Knox County. More news available anytime at newsknoxcounty.com. I'm Tom Lee, WAOV News.
Corn rally runs out of steam, but more follow-through in wheat and soybeans today. This is Hoosier Ag Today's Thursday Farm Market Closing Report, brought to you by Co-Alliance Cooperative, your local agriculture and energy partner for nearly a century. Corn traded flat by the end of trade. Not much movement there today at all. December goes to $5.69.5, up a quarter cent, and down 3/4 on March at $5.78. Also a penny and a quarter lower on May corn, $5.82 1/4. The bean market up just under a nickel. January $12.21.5, up 4 3/4. March up 4 1/4 at $12.33 1/4. May contract up 3 1/4. December wheat $8.12.5, up 9.5 cents. Down in live cattle and hogs. December live cattle $131.87, down 12 cents. 32 cents lower. December lean hogs $75.37. I'm Andy Eubank. Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's leading farm network.
A missed 3 dooms the Pacers on the road, and a birth of a baby and a game all at the same time. I'm Tom Lee with the WAOV Radio Sports Beat. Jeremy Lamb missed a potential game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer. The Indiana Pacers fell to the short-handed Denver Nuggets 101-98 on Wednesday night. Malcolm Brogdon with 25 leading the way for the Pacers. Indiana 1-2 on their Western swing, 4-8 overall. They'll wrap up that 4-game Western road trip tonight against the Utah Jazz. Indianapolis Colts quarterback Carson Wentz and his wife Madison are expecting a second baby soon, but Wentz said Wednesday, even if his wife goes into labor Sunday, he will suit up for the Colts. Indianapolis 4-5. It needs a win over division rival Jacksonville at Lucas Oil Stadium to stay in the hunt in the AFC South. Coach Frank Reich is also optimistic. Right tackle Braden Smith will be back after an elbow injury. I'm Tom Lee, WAOV Sports. The 97.7 WAOV forecast down from the Brian Stevens Erie Insurance Weather Center. Rain and windy conditions, though, ending by late afternoon. A high near 59, mostly clear tonight to low near 38. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, high of 51 degrees. And in a partly sunny sky on Saturday, high 45, and then 49 on Sunday. It's where dollars and cents meet common sense. The Ramsey Show tonight at 7 on WAOV.
And we're back with the news and views. I'm Jeff.
Dave here.
And plenty of time for your call, 812-882-3737. But time now for that regularly scheduled segment of the program known as
Least Competent Criminals.
That's right. And we're going to go to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. October 31st, so not too long ago, thieves broke into a vacant house to steal a gas furnace. The neighbors smelled the natural gas, and so I called the police. When the police arrived, the 2 thieves were lying on the floor, overcome by the gas fumes after they had dislodged the gas line. Taken outside, they were resuscitated and questioned. But here may be the catch on whether they are least competent criminals or not, according to the article, because this is Canada, they were released without charges. And that
was it?
is this week's
Least Competent Criminals.
Unless you have one.
No, I don't.
Okay.
People don't
People know what?
have much civility anymore. This is a case where a man shoots a 26-year-old car wash worker in the leg after they get in a fight over the vacuum cleaner that was at the car wash. That might be overreacting. The customer was vacuuming his car around 2 p.m. back on October 17th. The Bronx, when a worker told him only staff can use the station's equipment, the man left the car wash and came back 30 minutes later and shot the worker. So just a second. I'm going to get my gun.
It was a heat of passion moment. 30 minutes later.
The 26-year-old sustained serious injuries, as you might know.
Yes.
According to the NYPD. Search is underway for the man accused of shooting that person.
Well, I sure hope so.
And they have a video surveillance camera of him. So this was, you paid to get your car washed, so this was not like a self-service vacuum. And you get shot for just doing your job. These are not my rules.
Sad story out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Back in February, Kylie Witt, age 25, says her baby died of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. She and her boyfriend couldn't afford to bury the 6-month-old, according to her, so they put the baby in a crate that she kept in the laundry room. What? They later moved to Washington County, so she put the crate inside her bedroom wall, covering the whole drywall and painting over it. The baby's father, Alan Hollis, seemed to be part of this as well. Now, here kind of comes perhaps there are other motives. Investigators said Witt had told them the baby was in North Carolina, and then they came to the home with a search warrant, and she admitted that she was hiding the baby in the wall in Pittsburgh. Now, here's kind of the spooky part of it. The neighbor at her previous home in Pittsburgh said she used to hear the baby crying, and then one day it stopped. It is possible, given the circumstances, they were receiving welfare for the baby, and they decided not to report it, to continue receiving the welfare. But then you also have the question and suspicion of the baby's death.
Homicide or no? Not infanticide, I suppose it's called.
Infanticide, yeah.
So SpaceX launched 4 people up to the space station today, and they just brought, I think, 3 or 4 home. 4 home. But their toilets broke.
Again?
So they had to diaper up for the 20-hour trip. It says they'll be stuck using diapers, and I'm not sure that they were able to get it fixed, or there's maybe some design flaw.
Well, Big Bang fans will remember the Wallowitz toilet.
Who invented that?
That was the toilet, too, that went wrong on the tourist trip.
Engineers determined that the capsule had not been structurally compromised by the urine and was safe for the ride back.
Well, yes, I sure hope so.
You got a leaky toilet. A roto-rooter.
Odd circumstances out of Iowa involve the finding of a Spanish teacher, Nohema Graber, 66-year-old teacher at Fairfield High School, in the middle of the, I think, football field covered by a tarp, and I think somewhat dismembered. They've already arrested 2 young boys, Willard Noble Chaden Miller and Jeremy Everett Goodale, both of whom are, I think, 15 years old, and both of whom have been charged as adults in the death of the Spanish teacher who was actually an immigrant from a Central American country. They say they think they know what the motive is. They haven't released it yet, but it is not what they would call race-related.
Finally, someone trapped in a wall story, much happier than yours. A naked man found in walls of a theater. This is also in New York, and he was trapped in this wall, naked, for many days. Firefighters rescued a naked man after he was trapped inside the walls of a New York theater for multiple days. Syracuse Fire Department was sent to the Landmark Theater early on November 5 after workers said they heard someone banging on the wall and yelling for help. In order to determine the exact location of the trapped person, firefighters drilled a hole in the wall and utilized fiber optic cameras to locate him. So before they just started willy-nilly breaking in, had to cut through drywall and tile to get to the man. They found he was naked. Officials says he was taken to a local hospital. The executive director of the theater saw the man wandering around the building earlier in the week, and then when they looked for him again, they lost track of him, and they assumed he had left. So he apparently was up in the crawl space and fell into this void in the wall and was stuck there for a good while. And I don't know. He's having mental health evaluations done now, but I do not know why he was naked.
Why not?
Maybe he consumed his clothes because he was hungry.
Well, I think a overall positive story from Ohio involves a woman, and the next door neighbor moved in. His name was Jorge Alberto Chavez Reynoso. He was 29 years of age. She was suspicious right from the get-go. He would offer to mow her lawn. He would come across and say friendly things, but she said his vibes were just very aggressive to say good morning and good night and beautiful lady this and that. Based on that suspicion, she went out and bought herself a Ring camera, installed it on her front door. That very night, the Ring camera caught good old Jorge, or Joji, whatever his name is, trying to break into her house with a knife. She could see it on the Ring camera, called police, 911. He ran into the woods. Police easily arrested him. He claims he was trying to save the woman from some big man he saw hanging around her house. He's been charged with attempted burglary, obstructing official business, criminal trespass, and carrying a concealed weapon.
If he was trying to defend her from someone around the house, he probably should have stayed outside.
The police said the Ring camera may have saved her life.
This guy seems a little incompetent. I'm not sure he could have actually got in.
Well, I would also think that Ring cameras are very noticeable. Oh, she's got a Ring camera.
Well, the guy seems like he might have been not from around here.
Maybe not.
Don't try to say his name again.
Jolge. Jolge.
Ole!
Oh, you're right. J is H.
Yeah. Carol Baskin from Tiger King fame, and there's a sequel coming out, Tiger King 2, and she's suing Netflix to try to stop them from airing the new episodes. This is a follow-up to a Netflix hit series about big cats and the bizarre characters, and if you haven't seen it, it is like watching a slow-speed car wreck. You cannot look away. It's very bizarre. Since Tiger King became everybody's favorite weird pandemic documentary, the Baskins have been outspoken about how much they hated it. That was in part one. Their civil complaint filed against Netflix and the production company hinges on a pair of appearance releases the couple signed with the production company for the first Tiger King. The Baskins claim those releases permitted the production company to use footage of them for one project and one project only, which I have to say that seems reasonable. Despite that, Royal Good appears to have gone ahead and included footage of the Baskins in Tiger King 2, and that the Baskins argue is a breach of contract. I think the legal experts say that no chance of winning this lawsuit or remote. But here again is more publicity for Carol Baskins, which is the Tiger King referred to her in many colorful ways.
The headline on this particular story raises eyebrows. It says, Florida man who killed dog will serve 10 years in prison, which you're kind of going, what? Wait, how does that work? Well, after you read the story, you kind of get a better understanding. The dog was a pit bull, but it was stabbed 50 times, stuffed into a suitcase. It was actually found and was kept alive for another 2 days before it died. But here's kind of the kicker. Searching the home of Brendan Evans, age 35, they found in his refrigerator and freezer cat paws and rats with severed heads, blood stains in the bathroom, dried blood, and animal fur in his oven. In that stage, it suddenly turns into, you think 10 years is enough for this nut job?
Talk about your follow-up. Subway Jared, remember him? He was a Bloomington person.
Yeah, lost a lot of weight.
Became a spokesperson for Subway. The woman at the center of a child pornography probe related to Subway spokesman Gerald Fogle was convicted on federal charges relating to the sexual exploitation of children. Her ex-husband, who ran Fogle's nonprofit company, has had his conviction overturned, but is still in jail awaiting a new trial. Before Fogle was arrested in 2015, he was known as Subway Jared. The Subway sandwich shop he frequented in Bloomington was known as where he ate his daily meals before becoming a national spokesman. Who else did Subway just hire to be a spokesperson, and that didn't go well for him either? Just
We've got all kinds of big names. Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Serena Williams. They've gone big bucks.
Oh, well, he established his foundation back in 2004. He pleaded guilty to possession or distribution of child pornography and traveling across state lines to have commercial sex with a minor. So I'm not sure. Although the prosecution's sentence recommendation was 12 and a half years, the judge in Fogle's case opted to sentence him to 15 years. So he went over and above what the prosecution wanted. Fogle must serve at least 85% of the sentence. And if you're keeping track, he can get his next Subway sandwich projected March 24th, 2029.
I think that brings us to our third break here on Legal News and Views, 97.7 FM WAOV. Still time for your call, 812-882-3737.
The holiday season is right around the corner, so give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Stihl. From powerful trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws under the tree, to branded accessories stuffed in their stockings, the Stihl Holiday Gift Guide has something for everyone. Visit your local Stihl dealer or go to stihlusa.com/gift guide. Real Stihl. Find yours. Available at participating dealers while supplies last. Stihl outdoor power tools may be hard to wrap, but once they get open, you'll see why Stihl is so easy to give. Find the right gift this year with battery power made by Stihl. From mowers and blowers to trimmers and chainsaws, our AK Homeowner series of battery tools starts at just $199.99. Shop now.
Market accepting vendors for the TOC Direct Media and Bobcat of Davies County's annual Farm Profit Preview. They will be held on Thursday, December 2nd at Highland Woods in Vincennes. This event will be invitation only to our local and surrounding farmers. And you don't want to miss this great opportunity to showcase your business to the farmers of Southern Illinois. If you're interested in becoming a vendor and want to learn more about our Farm Profit Preview, contact Jessica Hallman at events@originalcompany.com or at 812-899-6273.
If you enjoy saving money and supporting local businesses, stop in our TOC Big Deals store. Save 20% or more on massage from Therapeutic Touch, pressure washing from Rewalt, food and beverage from Townhouse Bar and Grill, and more. Shop from your phone today at tocbigdeals.com.
Looking for a new Chevrolet? Steve Faulkner Chevrolet in Princeton has them. We're close to everywhere you are. Find new roads and find your perfect Chevrolet. See them all at Steve Faulkner Chevrolet Buick GMC.com. Looking for a new Buick or GMC? Steve Faulkner Buick and GMC in Princeton has what you're looking for. We're close to everywhere you are. Come in or see them all at Steve Faulkner Chevrolet Buick GMC.com. Saturday, it's the St. Vincent Men's Club Ribeye Steak Dinner, 4:30 until 7:30 at St. Vincent Church on Hart Street. Drive-through for delicious grilled ribeye steak with all the trimmings for only $20. Drive-through only. It's ribeye steaks for dinner Saturday at St. Vincent Church, Hart Street, Vincennes.
I'm Jeff. And Dave, the person I was thinking of is Megan Rapinoe, the soccer star.
Yeah.
Upset people because she's apparently un-American or stomped on the flag allegedly.
Oh, she's opinionated, yes.
So 45% of Americans want Subway to drop soccer star Megan Rapinoe. So they can't catch a break every 10 or 12 years.
Somebody, I think State Farm paid a lot of money to Aaron Rodgers they can't use right now either.
Oh boy, can you imagine if he'd been picked as a Jeopardy host?
Well, still plenty of times for your call, 812-882-3737. An 86-year-old man, Port St. Lucie, Florida, hired two guys, Sean Gazo and Carl Jackson, to help him move heavy furniture. After the men were done, the 86-year-old man discovered about $10,000 of jewelry was missing. Go to the surveillance camera at the pawn shop in Martin County, Florida, and there are the two men pawning the jewelry. The surveillance camera also caught Gazo dancing as he was leaving the shop. A nice little two-step. He was captured while his accomplice is still at large and, of course, facing charges of theft.
And this is, I don't really care where the phrase dead as a doornail came from, do you?
Dead as a doornail. No, I do not care.
Well, if you want to know, give us a call. This is another...
Could you hand me the phone, please?
You have a phone...
I do. Yeah, sure.
This is another person who had to pay for his own rescue. A treasure hunter wandered into Yellowstone National Park, which you were just there this summer.
I was.
To dig up a famous bounty, he lost his way, now he has to pay for it. August 2nd, 2018, the man's mother dropped him off at the Mount Holmes trailhead to hike through the park with a shovel in his hand, according to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. The man who was in his 40s planned to dig up the famous Forest Fen bounty somewhere in the park. So you can imagine, Mom, did you drop me off at the park? Yeah, I don't have a real job. I got my shovel. Along the way, however, he came across bear scat and fur. The court said he wandered from the trail thinking it would be safer and easier to take a different route. Okay, that's mistake one. The treasure hunter didn't make it out of the park before it got dark, and he spent the night wet, cold, and scared, according to court documents. The man talked with park rangers to try to find his own way out, but he was at a high elevation, a very rugged country. After hours of trying to communicate with this guy, park rangers organized a helicopter rescue to get him out of the park. He was cited for disorderly conduct. He was ordered to pay the National Park Service $2,880 for the cost of his rescue, and he was banned from Yellowstone for 5 years. So people risk their lives looking for these real or imagined treasures. Can you imagine the disappointment of his mom when she says, I can't drop you off in the woods for 5 years? See what you've done.
Which reminds me, Curse of Oak Island's back on. Yeah.
You know, I hate to admit, I enjoy that show, but it's like watching The Edge of Night when I was a kid with my grandma. It drags it out, and I found a nickel.
Oh, no, they haven't found anything. They haven't found squat.
They probably found some dead doornails.
But they found enough to where I'm interested. I'd like to know what the heck is going on in that island.
I think they found treasure and people like us watching it.
I think it goes without saying the Chinese spy on us and we spy on the Chinese, but this is the first time a Chinese national, 41-year-old Yang Yun-Zhu.
That was an excellent effort, or you just had a stroke.
No, Zhu. X-U. Has been found guilty and could face 25 years in prison. He had sort of a modus operandi where he would invite American scientists, people with technical knowledge to China, give them a stipend, pay for their trip, and then see if he could maybe pay for some additional information from them. He did this with the GE engineer, who obviously working with American intelligence helped get him captured. He also went to American universities, and anybody who he thought had anything to do or say or worthwhile, he would fly them to China, pay them to speak, pay all their travel expenses, probably wine and dine them, and then try to get secrets. I've, not this story, but I've heard from other stories that the Chinese are very upset that he's been arrested, and probably will arrest an American somewhere.
Talk about drones again. Some of the people like Amazon want to use that for delivery. A drone carrying several pounds of heroin and a GPS tracker was recently captured after flying over the U.S.-Mexican border in Arizona. The Custom and Border Protection Agency, CBP, in Yuma, Arizona, posted a picture of the captured drone on their Facebook page. The small drone was carrying 6.5 pounds of heroin across the border in Yuma, according to the agency. They also discovered the drone was equipped with the GPS tracker placed inside the package of narcotics, because you don't want to lose track of 6.5 pounds of heroin.
I wonder what the street value is.
Such packages of hard narcotics are often equipped with trackers to allow smugglers waiting on the northern side of the border to easily locate the packages after they are dropped. Let's see, I don't know.
Mom,
Not the first
your
time.
Amazon package is here. Oh, wait a minute.
This drone, in a different case, had a kilo of meth taped to it. Drones are becoming
A chaser.
more sophisticated and able to carry bigger payloads. So there was a story I saw that a drone apparently attacked some infrastructure trying to disrupt an electrical circuit. It would fly into these areas, where the utilities have their transmission stations, and they say high voltage, stay out. So this person apparently was flying their drone into that area, trying to cause a short circuit, or perhaps could have had explosives on it. So you think you got trouble now with high gas prices? Wait till your lights go out.
There you go. Let's go to Cairo, Nigeria.
It's going to be Cairo, Illinois.
And we're 26-year-old, give me a break here, Aliyu Idris was arrested because he tried to sell himself for 20 million naira. And if you don't know what a naira is, it's about 20 million, and it is about $49,000. He's trained as a tailor, but he said living in such poverty, he just thought he might as well sell himself, give his parents 10 million naira. Police pointed out that what he did was forbidden in Islam, but they released him after giving him some advice. It doesn't say what the advice was, but I would think it would be along the
Don't
lines.
sell yourself too cheap.
Yeah, too short. You're right. Go for 40 million.
This may be of some interest to you, Jeff.
Oh, well.
Most popular names in 2021, because 2022 is almost here. First of all, Sophia was finally unseated. That was the most popular girl's name after 11 consecutive years.
Ah.
So what's the new reigning girl's name this year?
Well, it must be Olivia.
It is Olivia. How did you know that?
Because I wouldn't be interested otherwise. No, and I'd heard that from other sources. I have a 41-year-old son, Justin, and we named him Justin. There was no Justins to be found.
Boys' names, Levi and Asher, A-S-H-E-R, broke into the top, knocking out Mateo and Logan.
Mateo.
The incredible success of WandaVision had an impressive effect on baby names. Wanda was up a whopping 54% this year. Agatha was up 32%, and Darcy was up 11%. Perhaps most surprising, the name Vision made an appearance on the girls' list, up 22%.
Vision is a band, isn't it?
I don't have cable.
I did get a chance to watch a couple episodes of Loki, which was very interesting, I thought. A Marvel comic character that has its own syndicated TV show now, Tom Huddleston.
This is out of England. A man is on a mission to collect one chip, which is it's a French fry. They call them chips.
Yes.
From every single one of the 925 Wetherspoons across the UK.
What are Wetherspoons?
That's a restaurant chain.
Really?
Yeah.
925 of them.
Boris Bennett, 45, says he carries a folder of chips around with him, each in a clear pouch and perfectly labeled with the restaurant they were purchased from. So it's like collecting butterflies. His hilarious hobby came to light when he posted a picture of his trading cards collection book on Facebook. Wetherspoon's Poultry Chip Count, a group on the site where Wetherspoon's fanatics discuss how many chips they got with their meal. So that's what they do. And I wonder, how many chips did you get with your Happy Meal? I only got 37.
Well, I don't think that's fair. I think you have to weigh it because they come in such
You would be
different.
a good judge. That was very thoughtful of you.
Thank you.
All right, I've only got one fry, but it weighs 2 pounds.
This story comes from Portland, Oregon. 98-year-old man had always wanted to donate his body to medical research, which you can do, and usually you get paid for the body. In other words, no funeral expense, and you make money off the decedent. But in this case, they sold it to a medical laboratory who for some reason sold the cadaver to Jeremy Siliberto, who's the organizer of Oddities and Curiosities. He travels around the country and charges spectators $500 to view the dissection of a human body, not what was intended by the gift of the body. And I hear our music here on Legal News and Views, giving us about 30 seconds to wrap it up. So this is Jeff.
This is Dave. Take care of the Casa Kid out at Jubilar Buick GMC Cadillac. It's a Christmas tree. Buy them their gift. They'll have a good Christmas.
Happy Veterans Day
Thank
to
you very
all
much.
those of you who served, and thank you for your service.
We'll be back next week, perhaps.